Let's move on to the Horizon League tournament. One quick question before we start off, since this tournament is sponsored by Barbasol, apparently. How many of us use Barbasol shaving cream in the early mornings? Anybody?
Oh, I'm a cheap bastard. I will pay for the Barbasol and not more. I am not a premium. Like, there are certain things that I will pay premium for, Eli, but shaving cream is not one of them. So have to Barbasol. Barbasol, one of the few inflation-proof items left in our economy.
What about you, Rocco?
If I'm in a pinch and I'm traveling, I forget to pack something, I might Barbasol it up. But otherwise, nah.
Wow. So what is your shaving cream of choice?
Honestly, I got one of the electric ones. I rarely use shaving cream unless it's, like I said, I forget something. And that's my reason.
Oh, okay. So you're one of those people.
That's right.
Man's
See,
tough
he's,
man.
He's more economical than I am. He's like the Costco of shaving, man. He gets like the expensive razor that will save him money over time as opposed to the shaving cream.
It actually worked out that way. It wasn't planned. I was on a trip in Scottsdale. I had to be at a nice event and clean up a little bit, and I didn't bring anything. So I went to this shaving store, whatever they call. I don't know. It's totally built for shaving. I should have known, but they charged me like almost $300 for an electric shaver. But I was already sold on it. I needed it badly, and I'm like, all right, I'm using this for like the next decade because I can't even justify spending that much on a shaver. I've been using that thing ever since. That was probably 5 years ago.
But you've probably saved at least $400 in shaving cream over that 5 years. So you've come out ahead.
There we go.
What a conversation. Gotta love. This is our version of going to the Creighton Marquette game, talking about shaving cream here. But as we stick in the Horizon League tournament, Rocco, Youngstown State is the favorite at plus 180. Despite losing both games to Oakland in the regular season, Oakland following suit right around plus 250 over at BetMGM. Then Wright State plus 300. And if we look at home court advantage, and there's going to be reseeding in the quarterfinals, and then once you get to the semifinal and the title game, both of those rounds are in Indianapolis. Now,
correct.
The one thing I want to note for this tournament, I know Steven has a bet that we'll get to in just a second, but Oakland, second shortest odds, and Greg Kampe runs that infamous zone defense, allowing the highest perimeter scoring rate in this conference, especially in conference play. And you look at the potential second round matchup, or at least in the quarterfinals, looking ahead, I should say semifinals, third time's the charm. What could happen against Wright State, the best three-point shooting team in this conference. So that's kind of my look, third shortest odds at Wright State. Not saying I'm betting on it just yet, but Steven, where are you going for this conference?
Yeah, I went crazy long shot here. I went with UW Milwaukee. And I think as we record here Monday afternoon, you can get around 20, 22 to 1. If you look hard enough, there's some odds boosts out there that you can use on conference futures that'll get it up more in like the 30 to 1 range. But your point's exactly, it's not a fixed bracket. And as the highest seeded team in the first round, if they win, and all they got to do is beat one-win Detroit Mercy to do that, one of the two worst teams in Division I, then they are guaranteed to avoid the top two seeds in the quarterfinals. And on top of that, Milwaukee's season-long defensive rating looks bad on paper because they were bad in the non-conference. But if you look at Haslametrics, their profile on defense has steadily been on the upswing since January. They've won 5 of 6. 3 of their last 4 losses have been in overtime, so a bit unlucky there. And 3 of Milwaukee's losses to the conference's top 2 seeds were in overtime. So if they get to that point where they have to face one of the top 2 seeds, they've shown they can go right to the final rounds with those 2 teams. So second best defensive team in the conference by effective field goal percentage, 2-point field goal percentage, block percentage. And even though they're not one of the better shooting teams in the league, they are the best offensive rebounding team in the conference. So I just thought at this price with this tournament format, I'd take a shot at a long shot here, Rocco.
Yeah, I get that. And I think, the way I look at each of these is I still have to go matchup by matchup. And with the way it played out for me, I was a little surprised at the end. But with the reseeding, so for the first round, I actually think it'll be chalk. You have IUPUI and Detroit Mercy in the mix. So really hard to pick either of those two teams. And really interestingly, we have several rematches from the season finale in these openers. If you look at Cleveland State versus Youngstown State, they just played. Robert Morris and Purdue Fort Wayne just played. And the IUPUI Cleveland State as well. Sorry, not the Youngstown Cleveland State. I meant to say, where are we at with the 4-5 here? It's the Wright State Northern Kentucky, I believe. So a lot of rematches coming up here. And just to fast track it a little bit, I got chalk in that early round. Now we get to Fort Wayne versus Oakland. And Fort Wayne is actually performing in the last, month or so, last 8 games, let's just say, as the best team in the league, if you could believe it. They've really cleaned up their ball handling. They're getting great looks from close, 12th in the country in 2-point field goal percentage in the last 25 days of action, 8 games worth. And they dominated Oakland at Oakland way earlier this year when Fort Wayne was on fire. It's a team that I've been picking since the preseason, and the media picked them 8th. They ended up finishing 8th, so the media is smarter than me. But Rasheed Bellows, an amazing talent, came from Wisconsin Parkside. In fact, Eli probably knew that. And I think this is a good matchup for them. I think it's enough to blow it up. Otherwise, if Oakland wins it, I probably would take Oakland all the way. So I think this is the key game for the Golden Grizz right away, as long as Fort Wayne gets by Robert Morris in the early round. But in the rest of the quarterfinals, I certainly have some other surprises. I'm with you on Milwaukee, so Milwaukee would play Green Bay in that round. And Green Bay is leaking oil down the stretch, mainly because Noah Reynolds has been sitting out. And he's questionable going into Thursday night. He's their everything. Milwaukee, again, this will be another rematch from the season finale. Milwaukee bloodied them up last weekend. And there was a situation earlier this year in the first matchup where after the horn, BJ Freeman, Milwaukee's one of their stars, and Noah Reynolds chased each other to the locker room in a fight. And since Noah sat out this last game, there's going to be some real bad blood in that game. But I think, if Noah doesn't play, Milwaukee's certainly got the edge. And if Noah does play, he's still probably not 100%. I just think Milwaukee's got the bigger chip on the shoulder in that one. So that's a very specific game matchup pick for me. And then Youngstown, Cleveland State. That's the only one I'll take the favorite in because I do think Youngstown's a notch above and they get to play it at home. I like the Penguins there. And I'll go with another upset. Northern Kentucky did get beat twice by Wright State this year, but both games have been right down to the wire. And Northern Kentucky always seems to do great in this tournament. I think that it's going to be really hard for Wright State to beat them a third time. So I'm going to go with the Norse there. And that shakes up all the matchups for the semis, guys, because we have reseeding. So now I've got Youngstown playing Fort Wayne. They split. They're very evenly matched if you watch those two matchups. I'm going to roll with Fort Wayne. They've just been more consistent down the stretch here. Again, the 8th seed, so a lot of value there. And then on the other side of the bracket, I'm going to actually that's where I'm going to have Milwaukee lose to Northern Kentucky. Again, Darren Horn is so good at coaching these tournaments and getting his guys to slow down possessions. It works out well for the format. And in the championship game, Fort Wayne matches up well with Northern Kentucky again. And so my surprise pick here is the Mastodons to take down the title from all the way from the first round to the championship game Tuesday, March 12th.
Wow. There's your long shot if you're looking for one. If you don't like mine, there's another one. Maybe I'll bet them both because they're going to be really good numbers on both of them, I would assume.
And the larger point here is there's about 6 to 7 teams that can win it. The only one I don't think probably will win it is Green Bay unless somehow Noah Reynolds shows up on Thursday and he never looks back and he's 100%. But otherwise, I would stay away from Green Bay due to that.
Yeah, and just one more note on this before we move on. Again, with the schedule of the tournament, first round Tuesday, quarterfinals Thursday, then a couple days off between the semifinals and finals, which are in consecutive days on Monday and Tuesday.